Welcome to the November the 12th, 1996 taping of It Happened in Grand Prairie, as we bring you the history of our city and bring some of the people that have caused that history to happen that are even still making history today, and that's the case. And we're very excited today for our history tape number 291. And we have an illustrious group from the St. Andrew's Episcopal Church that will be doing a great celebration. And we're so pleased to introduce, first of all, to you what we call our historian of the set today, Mr. Clyde Bardsley. Clyde?
Thank you, Ruthie.
Welcome to this set.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here, and we want to, first of all, thank you for the opportunity to tell about our 50th anniversary at St. Andrew's.
Oh, that's wonderful. And we have a new fella sitting in the middle, don't we?
Yes, we do.
Yes.
This
Father Bob Young.
Ruthie.
Welcome to Grand Prairie and to the
thank
set.
you.
And we're just real excited to have you on the set today to talk about the church on Hill Street.
Well, I'm delighted to be here, Ruthie.
Wonderful.
Very much.
Judy Brownlow. Miss Judy, back again.
Thank you. Thanks for having us again.
Yes. And we missed Jerry today. You wouldn't let him out of the cage.
I wouldn't let him out again. No.
Yes.
He's had his time. It's time for someone else to do this now.
That's wonderful. Well, we'd like to begin our interview with you all about this 50th anniversary. Now, Judy and Jerry came to us back in the spring when you had the kickoff of all of this good stuff, and we had a real good time, but we only had 15 minutes, and today we want to document more of the history of the church, and with your permission, Clyde, why don't you look out into your camera and tell us a little bit about the beginnings, and I'll make some notes in case there's something that I'd like to ask you, and you just tell us about the early histories of St. Andrew's in Grand Prairie.
The first meeting of the congregation of St. Andrew's was on February the 10th, 1946. The First Christian Church was very generous and allowed the membership of St. Andrew's to meet in their facility on the corner of Northeast 4th and Church Street for several months until we were able to get our own building. And several months later, Sam McElhaney donated some lots on Hill Street to the parish. And we moved in 4 prefabricated barracks type buildings, and one was the actual church, and the other 3 were the parish hall and church school buildings.
And what date approximately was this in the moving in of the barracks? If you don't have that to recall immediately, that's okay.
1946.
1946, okay.
It was just shortly
Just
after.
shortly after.
Yes.
That's good.
It was.
Well, you got people to give lots, and that just got you started properly, didn't it?
That's right.
Good.
Then in 1950,
All right.
the parish hall and the church school building burned. And so then our present parish hall was built.
Okay.
And it was the first step of a master plan that had been put into effect for the parish. And we were fortunate because we had 2 architects as members.
Oh.
Carlisle Smith Sr. and Roland Miranda, both of them great architects. And so the 2 of them, with the help of their companies, formulated the plans for the church. We built the parish hall first, then the present sanctuary was built in 1953. It was dedicated on Easter Sunday, 1954.
Okay.
Then about 1951 is when they first started the fund drive for the sanctuary.
For the big sanctuary.
Yes.
Okay.
Later, we didn't own the corner lot, and there was a small house on it. It was purchased, and during the time that the present sanctuary and offices were being constructed, that little frame house was used as the offices and also for Sunday school rooms. And then later that building was torn down to make room for a larger parking lot. We bought the lot on the east side between Emma Deanberry's house
Yes.
and St. Andrews.
Yes.
There was a lot with a little frame house. We purchased that, and it was used it was a rent house. In fact, some dear friends of mine lived in it.
Mm-hmm.
And it was there and used as a rent house until time came for us to build the new education building. When that was built, that house was moved to, I believe, Manning Street in South Dalworth.
Yes.
And at the same time, the original church building, that was a prefab barracks building, was moved out of the way, and it was moved to Grapevine, to the Bishop Mason Retreat Center. That building is still there. It's the core of a building. It has been added onto all the way around, so it's not recognizable.
So your outreach goes all the way to Grapevine, Manning
Grapevine.
Street, as well as Hill Street.
That's right.
Great. That's great.
And then now we have also added on to the parish hall. We have added on to the education building, and the master plan is fairly complete, except that we have a new master plan
Oh my.
we want to build a separate school for St. Andrew's School.
Oh, that is good.
And it is growing, and Father Young is going to tell us a little bit more about the school.
Oh, that is great.
I would like to say too that the first person ever baptized at St. Andrew's Church was Carlisle Smith, Jr. And he's still there, and of course he's was a state representative. He's one of the mainstays of the church, one of the older, not older, but one of the long-term members of the parish.
All right, you've mentioned Sam McElhaney, and you have also mentioned Carlisle Smith Sr. Who were some of the other movers and shakers that began the church back in the beginning? Yes, if you have that in your archives.
Yes.
That you'd like to name
The first
drop.
meeting, the first congregation was Carlisle Smith Sr., Sam McElhaney, Robert Jones, Thomas Lundy, Llewellyn Powell. Llewellyn Powell still lives in Dallas, and he visited with us on our celebration on February 10th of our anniversary. And Sergeant C.H. Moore. They were the original petitioners for the charter from the diocese.
For the church. Yes, and presumably there were wonderful wives that aided and abetted them, so we can get
Of course.
we can get the ladies in there in the background, can't we?
Yes.
All right. Okay. We're going to let you rest a few minutes with that history, and we may come back and ask you some real exciting questions about that. But we need for our viewing audience to get to know Father Bob Young a little bit better. And would you look out into your camera and tell us, you haven't been in Grand Prairie very long, but tell us when you came here, where you were assigned prior to that time, and tell us a little bit about yourself personally, and that's your camera.
Okay. I came here on April 22nd, and so I arrived in the 50th anniversary year. Prior to that, for 10 years, I was rector of St. Clement's Church in Tampa, Florida. And before that, I was in the Diocese of Oregon, where I served as a hospital chaplain at Good Samaritan Hospital and as assistant at St. Bartholomew's in Beaverton and the interim rector of St. Luke's in Grants Pass, Oregon. As far as my family is concerned, I have a wife, Elizabeth, and a daughter, Andrea. Elizabeth works for Northwestern Mutual in Dallas, and my daughter, Andrea, is at the University of Florida in Gainesville, majoring in psychology, and she is a Naval ROTC scholarship student, hoping to become a psychiatrist. I originally am myself a naval officer. I'm a Navy Reserve chaplain, and I go back to Tampa once a month to join the staff of United States Naval Central Command and to support the regular Navy. I also go over to the Joint Forces Command at Central Command, serve there with the chaplain, who's an Army officer. My original job after going to the University of Oregon was as an Army officer, and so I'm accustomed to dealing with the Army. And in addition to that, I have the rare privilege of being an honorary canon of the Philippine Independent Church in North America. Philippine Independent Church's cathedral in Tampa was a next-door neighbor to us, and I ended up being the chaplain to the bishop and his family. And as a consequence of that and some help I gave them with financing their cathedral, in 1993 I was made an honorary canon, which is sort of like a Monsignor would be in the Roman Catholic Church. And I'm very proud of that.
That's a great
part of my
honor.
life.
That is a great honor. And coming to St. Andrews in Grand Prairie, Texas, and with a school, isn't that an exciting adventure?
It's a wonderful thing. One of the things that I enjoy most of all about being rector of St. Andrews is going to chapel in the morning and seeing the children praying. Our chaplain, Father Stanford, does a wonderful job. He has volunteers who also help him. The children and their participation in worship is always an inspiring way for me to begin my day. I love to walk up and down the halls of the school because there's such a sense of love and affection between students and teachers and the children among themselves. It's wonderful to see the children in small classes where they get the individual attention they need. And there is a sense of warmth that's really hard to describe, but you can feel it as you walk down the hallways and meet the people. One of the things that's pleased me very much since I arrived is that we have a new headmistress, Dr. Marjorie Cabe. Dr. Cabe comes to us with wonderful credentials. She at one time was assistant superintendent of schools for Norman, Oklahoma. And she brings an element of experience, knowledge, and expertise that is rare, and we feel very privileged to have her. The other thing that I'm especially pleased about is that St. Andrew's School is in the process of being accredited by the very prestigious Southwest Episcopal Schools Accreditation Committee. Once that process is completed, it will be a tremendous boon to our school, and I'm privileged to be a part of that process.
Well, congratulations. I think that's really wonderful. Miss Judy.
Yes.
Front and center, you are in charge of a big celebration coming about, and you're going to give us the magic date, and maybe tell us a little bit about your committee that's working with you, some of the things you anticipate doing on that day or that week of celebration, however long it would be, and let our general public know about that, and those that do not have a church home or that want to come and see what's happening at St. Andrews that day, tell us about it.
Our celebration will be on November the 30th, which is Saturday, at 7:00 p.m., and it is our 50th anniversary celebration of St. Andrew's Day. November the 30th is St. Andrew's Day, and St. Andrews, of course, is our patron saint. Because it's St. Andrew's Day, we will have a bagpiper there, which is a traditional thing to do on St. Andrew's Day. We have had commissioned a hymn anthem that the choir will perform for the first time on that day. A local composer by the name of Joel Martinson has composed this anthem. It was commissioned by St. Andrews and dedicated to us on our 50th anniversary, so that's rather exciting. We have sent out, or in the process of sending out, over 400 invitations. We've tried very hard, and with an awful lot of help from the committee and various parishioners, to try to come up with as many names and addresses of former parishioners, former priests, anyone who's ever been associated with St. Andrews, to invite them to this celebration. When we did our first big service was when we were on your show before, back in February, to commemorate our actual first meeting which was 50 years ago. We did not have quite as much time, but with the help of an excellent committee, we were able to send out probably over 300 invitations at that time, and the response was overwhelming. The church was packed. As Clyde mentioned, the Powells, who were original founders of the parish, were there. It was a wonderful, wonderful celebration, and we're hopeful that this celebration on November the 30th will be even better.
And there will be a timing of this, the timing for
The time is at
celebration.
7 o'clock p.m.
7 o'clock p.m.
Yes,
And
uh-huh.
how long would we anticipate?
The service, the bishop of the Diocese of Fort Worth will be there.
All right.
And the service will probably last about an hour and a half. It will be followed by a reception in the parish hall, and which will last however long as people want to stay. So, you know, a couple of hours anyway, 2 or 3 hours of fellowship and worship that we plan for that evening.
In the event there is anyone in our audience that knows of someone that were former members there, would you like to give a magic telephone number so that they could call and let you all know if they find someone?
Certainly. The church telephone number is area code 972-262-1788, and the location of the church is 727 Hill Street in Grand Prairie.
Okay, now you're going to name some of the people that are working with you. Weta Doherty Smith.
Weta Smith was
Oh.
actually supposed to have been here today. Weta has been doing an awful lot of work, not only this year, but in the past, and working on the book that Clyde has right there, which is the history of St. Andrews. Now, with the help of Clyde and Verna particularly, and I'm sure others, Weta has now brought this book forward. This last book was published in '87. So they have done a tremendous amount of work to gather the history to bring us up to date. And that's one of the things that Weta has been working on. And I'm just very sorry that Weta was not able to be here today. She was ill and was not able to attend, but she has been working on that. Clyde and Verna have been a big help. I know Verna is typing this book for her, so they've put in an awful lot of work. We plan to have these books available on November the 30th to pass out to the people who are there, which will be a nice memento of our 50th anniversary celebration.
Yes, and the historian in charge, would they see that one of those gets to the Grand Prairie Public Library? We would like to have one of those in the public
Certainly.
library.
Of course,
And your
yes.
speaker would like to have one in the file, but I hope to come to your celebration
We
and
would
pick
love
up
for
my
you to.
copy
Yes, we
of that
would.
at that time. All right.
Delighted to have you.
Yes. Anyone else that's on your committee that's a stem winder that we need to mention?
Well, there are several members of the committee. Clyde and Verna are on the committee. Carlisle and Weta are on the committee. Lloyd and Estelle Smith.
Yes.
Esther and Elwood Gerlitsky, Barbara Price, Bud Henderson, Joe and Gil Elliott, Chris and Sheila Rivera. Judy Smith, our organist, has been a big help and has been a part of the planning. Laura Phipps, who is the church secretary, has been a tremendous help. And I just hope I haven't left out anyone.
And it doesn't sound as if you have. I think that you have everything well and all together for all of these good happenings, and we're just so excited about all the things that are happening at St. Andrews. Now let's get back to our history, and then we're going to get back to Father Young in just a minute. And is there anything else we need to tell that's really exciting about St. Andrews that we've left out of our history?
Well, to me, everything about St. Andrews is exciting.
Tell us a little bit about the real Clyde Barchlay. Our viewing audience have no idea that you are very famous in Grand Prairie, that you've been taking their money all of these years.
I'd just as soon forget about that.
No,
But I
as an
was
illustrious-
the city tax collector, tax assessor, for 17 years.
Yes.
I left the city of Grand Prairie and became a property tax consultant.
Yes.
And I have since retired from that, and
You have another advocate.
my hobby turned to
Yes.
semi-job is refinishing antiques, which is something I dearly love. I love to get out and get all dirty and grimy and make something beautiful out of something ugly. But my whole adult life has been, with exception of a few years, at St. Andrews. Father Fox, the first rector of St. Andrews,
All right.
introduced me to my wife, Verna.
Okay. Matchmaker, wasn't he?
Yes, he was. And I think he did a good job.
Yes.
He left and was replaced by Father Holliday before we got married, because it took me 3 years of dating Verna to decide to get married.
Yes.
And so anyway, Father Holliday performed the wedding ceremony for us.
Okay.
And
Some of the other, there's others that have led the congregation other than Father Holliday and Father Fox, up until we get to Father Young.
okay, there are some that weren't there too long. But,
Yes, but the ones that were there for...
Father Hargrove, Bob Hargrove, was there for several years. He was very dynamic, did a lot of great work with the parish, with the children in the parish. We've had several curates, which are assistants to the rector, and their job usually is working with the youth, just as now Father Stanford is the chaplain of the
Yes.
school. He also works with the youth group of the church. We've had Father Rice, Father Manikas, who is in Arlington now. Father, who else in there? Father Robinson, yes, Father Robinson.
Father Young came from, although not the same
Yes.
parish.
Yes, Father Robinson was a great priest, and unbeknownst to us, when the call was made to bring Father Young to St. Andrews, we didn't know that he was a friend of Father Robinson, who had been with us for several years, about 5 years, I think. And so Father Robinson was very courteous and generous. He made a videotape and sent it to us, introducing Father Young to us before he got there.
Oh, yes.
And
The power of the media.
yes, it made us all feel much better about our new priest that we were anticipating, and we had to wait too long for him because he had to give his church in Florida a little
Formal
notice.
Yes.
But anyway, we're thrilled to death to have Father Young with us now.
Wonderful. All right, Father Young, in the last few minutes that we have, I'd like for you to look out into your camera, and we want you to put that best foot forward and get everyone to this celebration and let us know how exciting it's going to be.
Well, I think it's going to be a tremendous experience. As Clyde has mentioned, we've had some wonderful priests in this parish. Father Hargrove went on to become Bishop of Louisiana. Father Holliday also went on to become a bishop. Charles Huff went on to become canon to the ordinary of the Diocese of Fort Worth. We're hoping that all, or at least some of them, can be there. And I think it'll be a tremendous event. And I would cordially invite everyone in the Grand Prairie community and the surrounding area to join us for this delightful experience of celebrating 50 years of ministry to the people in the community of Grand Prairie, Texas.
Now, that's a good ending for the celebration. In the few minutes that we have remaining, I'd like for you to speak now just to the general public, just to the viewers in Grand Prairie, Texas, and tell them what time church meets, that they are welcome, and what all of the services that you have available, the different times for those, and tell us how to get into the school, how to make a contact to the school. This is your commercial time for your church now.
Well, thank you. Our regular Sunday services begin at 7:30 p.m. with the 1928 prayer book rite. At 9 o'clock, we have Rite 1, or the traditional language communion service with music. At 11:15, we have the traditional Rite 1 service, but without music. People can contact the school. I would contact the head of school, Dr. Cabe, and call if they're interested in sending their child to the school. One thing I would very much like to mention is a special event we'll be having on Thanksgiving Day. We're having an open Thanksgiving dinner. And by open, we mean that anyone who wishes to attend may come. Do not have to belong to the church, do not have to be part even of the community, but anyone who would like to eat with us and would like to join us is cordially invited to do so. That's going to be an outreach program that we're beginning this year.
And that magic date, is that on the Monday that is celebrated as Thanksgiving or on the real Thanksgiving Day?
Well, we intend for it on Thanksgiving.
Okay, all
A
right.
real Thanksgiving. I have had
Fourth
this
Thursday.
on Thursday, and the meal will begin 11:30. We'll be having a Thanksgiving Day communion service beginning at 10 o'clock. And this is something we did in Tampa and in Oregon. It was highly successful in both places. And before we left Tampa, we were feeding over 300 people. And so we're delighted to bring that ministry here and to begin the next 50 years at St. Andrew's Episcopal Church.
That's great, wonderful. Judy?
I neglected one person who was on our committee that I need to mention. Her name is Ann Dameron. I believe I mentioned everyone else. And Father Young, when you said the service is at 7:30 p.m., you mean 7:30 a.m. is. But we want to thank you again for having us on your show and cordially invite everyone in Grand Prairie to the Thanksgiving Day service, to our November 30th service, and any of you without a church home, we would love for you to come and visit St. Andrew's.
Any last words from Clyde, the historian of the world today of St. Andrews?
No, except again, I'd like to reemphasize the fact that everyone in the city of Grand Prairie is invited, and we would love to see you there. If not for the service, at least for the reception. But we'd love to have you there for both of them.
Good. Thank you, Clyde.
Thank
It's
you
wonderful
very
to
much.
finally get you cornered in this chair on the desk today. And it's a pleasure having you with us, Father Young.
Good year.
Miss Judy, thank you for being with us.
Thank you.
And this is Ruthie Jackson reminding you that history is as we live and do.